Hello, my name is Adam, and I will be the Scrum Master for this week. We are doing the Paw Pair project. Um, it's a research-focused, AI-driven development of a web application. Basically, each member in the group uh, has a specific AI tool that they're going to use to help them develop a website from scratch. For example, Joseph and I are both using GPT-4. Shweeny is using GPT 3.5, and both Arvin and Charles are using a mixture of Copilot and Bard. We're all using DALL-E and image generation AI tools to some extent. Um, the web app that we're working on, PawPair, is a website that matches prospective owners to animals. Um, so it's kind of like a dating app, but for pets, where users can swipe on cats or dogs um, in order to adopt one. Um, Here's our repository for our project, and we also have a task board system right here. Um, Overall, throughout the last week, things went pretty well. We've all sort of landed and decided on the AI tool that we're going to use, and we've all begun working on landing page, and a lot of us have moved on to the accounts and login page. Many of us are working now to integrate a back end with the front end. Um, some of the things that we had successes in last week were we've all made progression in learning how to more properly and efficiently utilize our respective AI tools to more efficiently accomplish the desired outcomes that we want. Some of the failures that we had was we didn't realize that prompting is a very important aspect when using an AI tool, and there were certain AI tools that had much steeper learning curves in order to properly utilize them. Uh, a lot of us found it quite difficult um, to prompt the AIs in order to more effectively integrate our back ends with our front ends. um, we made some improvements. We were more collaborative in our workflow. Um, Many of the teammates had individual meetings, as well as we always have a couple of cohesive synchronous meetings as a full team. Um, yeah. So we're going to start with Joseph. Joseph worked on further development of his landing page, and he began to use ChatGPT more effectively to research the appropriate stack for the back end of his website. As you can see here, um, he has fully finished creating more images with Midjourney, and has also included some filler columns for like how it works and testimonials for his site. He's about halfway through his research towards developing the backend CRUD app using Flask. Joseph is going to start piecing together the backend pieces and work with the hosting platform, probably Amazon Web Services, to host his app. As far as blockers go, Joseph felt mainly that the blockers for him were time wasted when trying to make the aesthetics of his site very pleasing. His landing page, and he should have been spending a bit more time on the back end development of things. He's realized that it's much more important to focus on development, and he can make things look pretty later. Right now, just have the bare bones of it and make it functional. Joseph was very involved this week with meetings. He had many check-ins asynchronously through Discord. He actually scheduled a meeting with me to discuss his landing page renderings and other things associated with the project. And now let's look at what Joseph has. So here are a couple of screenshots of just his work with interfacing with GPT, asking how to make certain implementations and things of that sort. You can see here, he's prompting GPT to help him with the back end and other things of that sort. We're also going to take a look at Joseph's repository and his overall file structure. So we can see this is Joseph's repository, his index page, things of that sort. Here's his file structure. All right, so now we will move on to Arvin. Now, Arvin this week mostly worked on deploying his React app on Google Cloud. That includes both his landing pages and his landing page and his login page. He successfully built the front end and set up a working database. He still needs to figure out how to connect the two. A lot of us are in that boat too. Next week, Arvin will focus on setting up a connection between React and Flask in order to create fully functional account creation and login pages. Now, as far as blockers go, Arvin actually felt quite held back by Bard. Oftentimes, Bard's information was misleading or out of date. This made setting up services and troubleshooting them a pain. So to counteract this, he will ask Bard for links to current documentation instead of asking for step-by-step instructions like he's been doing. Arvin's been very proactive asynchronously through our Discord chat, as well as synchronously. He asks many good questions. He's also talked with Ashwini about how to set up Google Cloud and trying to help her out with that, and has had meetings with Joseph about the Scrum mastering schedule. Now let's look at Arvin's work. This is Arvin's page right here. His homepage is quite nice. Looks quite good. He's got a login page, and he's also got a sign-up page. So Arvin's work's looking pretty good, and let's quickly look at his directory structure. As we can see, these are the pages that we just looked at: the home page, the login page, and the sign-up page. You can see he's working on a contact page and an about page. It's got an extensive styles set up for it. That's why it looks so good. And many images. So Arvin's made a lot of work. And so now let's move on to Ashwini. This week, Ashwini worked on perfecting the homepage for her website. She added colorful elements and photos using HTML and CSS styling. She also switched from focusing on Google Cloud, which she was working on with Arvin extensively, and she's now focusing her efforts on Amazon Web Services. And so she set up placeholders for future tabs. As far as this upcoming work for Ashwini, she's going to utilize HTML and CSS on her current website locally on Visual Studio Code. For this upcoming week, she made the decision to stop trying to host the website using Google Cloud, like we just said. And she's going to spend the bulk of her time next week trying to get her website deployed on Amazon Web Services. After attending office hours, the TA helped her and told her that Amazon Web Services would just be much more streamlined and easier to work with. As far as blockers go, Ashwini's being blocked by her self-purported lack of knowledge in the fundamentals of cloud computing. She didn't take a cloud class offered at Oregon State University, so she's working to get unblocked by reaching out to us, her teammates, the TAs, and even professors to gather more resources and information so that she can still use this class to learn as much as she can about cloud computing. As far as the meetings go, Ashwini got some insight after speaking with her teammates and learning from their mistakes when using Google Cloud. She also reached out to professors to let them know that she was having trouble finding good resources on hosting her website. Overall, she's been very proactive and helpful in the chat, both on Discord as well as our synchronous meetings. So now let's look at what Ashwini has. This is her homepage. Very nice, very aesthetically pleasing. And below, we have some screenshots of the HTML code that she's used to help generate this. Yeah. Okay. So now let's look at Charles. So Charles was the Scrum Master for Progress Report 1. He spent the week looking for hosting solutions, and he's decided on Amazon Web Services for both the front end and back end. He deployed his Flask app using Docker to create containers and Lightsail to deploy them through the Amazon Web Services command line interface. Then he connected it to an Amazon Dynamo database SQL. So he's working on that. As far as what he's going to do in this upcoming week, Charles plans to continue working on the login page, wants to create separate pages for users to create new accounts and view their profiles. And he hopes to connect these to the SQL backend and enable CRUD functionality for users. Charles wants to investigate DALL-E or Midjourney a bit to help with AI image generation. As far as blockers go, Charles does feel blocked by what he feels is sort of the blandness of his design. He feels anxious about the lack of images on his website and the purely functional design of it. He's worried that the average user might not want to or be able to use his web app because it's designed with only functionality in mind. He's also a little worried about user privacy on the web app. So to address these things, he's trying out new AI image solutions, like before we said about DALL-E or Midjourney. And he's also checking other websites for design concepts that he finds appealing. And he's going to try to use AI to replicate it. Now, as far as meetings go, Charles felt communication was quite sufficient for the week. He thinks people communicated their issues well, asynchronously through Discord, and he did his part, showing work on both the report and research of hosting solutions early in the week by providing links to tutorials for setting up React Flask apps, deployment, and a SQL backend on Amazon Web Services. And so now let's look at Charles's work. This is Charles's homepage. Like he said, it's a little straightforward, without much, but it's functional, right? He mentioned that he was worried that this is not quite aesthetically pleasing enough, but it does work. So, for example, like if we put in Adam on this login page and gave it a password, and I said my favorite animal is a cat, and I click create account, it works in real time. So it's functional. So in that respect, Charles has made a lot of progress. All right. Now, finally, we'll talk about me. Well, over the prior week, I used GPT-4 to help me integrate my MERN stack that I'm using. With GPT-4's guidance, I explored innovative ways to incorporate DALL-E's image generation into the MERN-based project. Focused on developing a sort of bare bones accounts and login page, similar to what Charles has using the MERN stack. I was able to do that, and I successfully configured MongoDB to securely store user data. And on the front end, I've developed an intuitive React oriented page for the login interface, prioritizing user experience and ensuring integration with the backend. Next week, I'll implement the functionality that allows users to log in. Because right now I already have a create accounts page, and now I need a login page. I'm also going to get started working on the animal profile page. And somehow I'm going to have to integrate the animal profile page with my MongoDB backend, and also create a draft version of the front end for that page using React, and make sure that that also interfaces with the backend. Also working on progress report too, as I am now. As far as blockers are concerned, I've made quite a bit of progress in interfacing between the back end and front end. However, my main challenge going forward is deploying this on a cloud service. My teammates have basically made it clear that Google Cloud is a bit too complicated and that I should move forward with Amazon Web Services. And my action items to get through that are to basically allocate a full day to comprehensively understand Amazon Web Services and how to deploy a web application on it. Overall, last week, I engaged in quite a few asynchronous meetings on Discord. I had a personal meeting with Joseph talking about our experiences with GPT-4. I provided extensive documentation and visual materials to ensure the clarity and facilitate peer feedback for this report that I'm doing right now. On the 28th, we had a synchronous meeting, and as the Scrum Master for the week, I led our synchronous meeting to review the week's progress, address any blockers, and assess our pace against the project timetable. After this meeting, compiled everyone's work, slide inputs into a comprehensive report, which is what I'm showcasing right now. And here is my webpage right now. It's a lot like Charles in that it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world, but it works. So I can click create account, and give some name, all this, and click add, and it comes up just like that, and I can delete it, and it works. So that's my work for the week. All right, now. So overall, Paw Pair team will continue to push the limits of the AI tools that we're using and determine where it works, where it doesn't work, what solutions we can find to the challenges that we face during development. Our current goal is to work on our proficiency in Amazon Web Services. We're all trying to get our websites deployed. We're also going to work with experimenting with AI image solutions and addressing security vulnerabilities. Strategy here is to prioritize functionality and security in the initial phase, and we're going to leave the aesthetic enhancements for later stages. Thank you, and that's our progress report too.